Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some screenshot videos on the estimating formulas and how to do that, and we're going to go through that for the next half hour or so. And I'm actually going to split it into two to three different videos. Actually, it'll probably be three because the screenshot videos will only allow me to go 15 minutes. So it'll be segmented into three different videos here. So what I want you to do first is go to WeSellChristmasLights.com. You guys are all familiar with that. Go ahead and click on the, go ahead and log in first, and then go ahead and click on the Licensee Resources tab. Once you pull that up, you guys are all familiar with this area by now. Go to the labor cost analysis. That's what we call the estimating forms. We've got a full version and a partial version. We plan on coming up with a couple other versions as well. The reason that we're splitting them up is the full version has everything: roof lines, windows, balconies and fence lines, columns and palms, bushes, hedges and flower beds, trees, light stakes and wreaths. The partial version only has the most popular items, and it's just designed to make it quicker because as you're going to see, you have to go through each page on this. So it's roof lines, trees, palms and columns, and bushes. So we've split it into two. We'll probably split it into even more here in the near future. But this is where we're at. And on both of these, by the way, if you get something that's custom, like some sort of custom yard art, anything, it's going to allow you at the end to add any dollar amount that you want to compensate for that. So you will be able to add that to your bid, and you can put it in the description. So I'm going to go ahead and go through the full version just so you guys get the gist of how to do everything on here. All the different formulas, we'll practice each one of them. So I'm just going to click right there on full version. Loading up here. And by the way, this isn't like lightning fast. We're working on getting it even faster, but it is a lot faster than having to handwrite this, going through the old way of doing it, and having to do all these equations and calculations yourself. So, you know, if you get frustrated, just remember the alternative way to do this is actually using a calculator, and it's going to take a lot longer because you guys are going to have to do all these equations that are coming up in the back end right now. So, talk about roof lines first. By this time, we've already discussed the different difficulty levels that we've had. So what we're going to do here is go ahead and click on a difficulty level. I'm going to go ahead and select on, actually this is asking me, first question is select how many different difficulty levels you have. I'm going to go ahead and select 3 difficulty levels, and that's going to populate 3 different fields: difficulty level 1, 2, and 3. So based on the number you put in here, if I went back to 1, it's only going to populate one of these. So like I said, I'm going to go ahead and go back to 3. Difficulty level 1, I'm going to have 140 feet. Difficulty level 2, this is where it can tend to move a little bit slow, I'm going to have 100 feet. And difficulty level 3, I'm going to say that we have 50 feet that we've measured at difficulty level 3. And obviously these difficulty levels, I'm going to have a scratch sheet of paper. We've probably already talked about this in class by now, but if not, we'll talk about it where we're going to have difficulty level 1, difficulty level 2, and difficulty level 3 on a scratch sheet of paper, and we're just going to add that up as we go, and then we're going to transfer those numbers onto this form right here. So that gives me a total of 290 feet. That gives me a break even of $214.69. My markup, I'm going to go ahead and select the markup here. I'm going to go with 140%. If I need to add any extra equipment cost in there, I can, for boom lifts, scissor lifts, that sort of thing. Don't need that in this case. So that gives me a labor charge based on my break even of $214.69, and my markup of 140%. That gives me a labor charge of $515.26. This break even right now is standardized at $1.50. We're actually considering making that a variable that you can enter in yourself. We've been talking about doing that. That's pretty easy for us to do. So $1.50 should cover most everybody. That's going to factor in your crew, your crews, the employees, the gas, the truck, the equipment that you, or not the extra equipment, but your baseline equipment that you're using, office expenses, cell phones, all that kind of stuff. So that's all included in that break even of $1.50 per minute. Okay, so now, select our type of lights right here. So for this, I'm going to go ahead and go down. I've got my different choices that I can select from. And I'm going to go C9 light line, 12-inch spacing. I need to enter in my feet from above up here, 290 feet. That's going to give me a total light charge of $143.55 and a total charge of $658.81. We go ahead and click next. And everything starts kind of at the bottom, so you got to scroll. Go ahead and scroll up here. So Windows, select how many different difficulty levels you have. Same thing with roof lines. I can select 1 through 4. On this one, I'm going to go ahead and select 2. Linear feet of windows, I'm going to go ahead and put in 100. So there's a few different ways you can do this. And again, this is showing difficulty level 1 and difficulty level 2 in order, just like it is on the roof lines. But with the roof lines, a couple ways that you can do this. Number one, you can just add them all together, and that's the way that I would suggest you do it. So if you have, let's say, 4 windows that the total linear feet ends up being 100 feet, then that's the way I would do that. The other way you can do it is if you have a lot of windows that are the same size. So let's do that right down here. Actually, let me show you this first. Quantity at this difficulty level. Let's just say here that I was measuring all the windows and that was a total linear feet. Then I would just put 1. Okay. Now let's go over here though, and let's say that I had some windows that were all the same size, and let's say that the total linear feet was of each window was, let's say, 14 feet, and I have 5 identical windows. So then I'm going to go right over here. I'm going to click on the quantity, 5. I can go as many as 10. 5 right there, and that's going to automatically add all 5 of those windows. So like I said, you can do it either way. You can either go total linear feet and just keep the quantity at 1, or if you have identical windows and you want to split it up that way, that's easier for you to do, then that's fine. Either way, it's pretty simple math. You can either multiply it yourself, or this right here will multiply it for you. So right here, I get my break even of $115.31. I'm going to select my markup. I'm going to go with 150% again. Again, no need for extra equipment costs on this. $288.27 is going to be my labor charge based on the break even and the 150% markup. Go ahead and select my type of lights. I'm going to go with C7 light line, 12-inch spacing on this. Enter my feet from above. Total feet, 170 feet. Gives me a light charge of $84.15. Gives me a total of $372.42. This is kind of being cut off. That's something else that Matt can easily fix, as well as this being cut off right up here. So just an easy fix for us. Click next. Okay, now I've got balconies and fence lines. How many difficulty levels do you have? We only have 1 or 2 difficulty levels. I'm going to go ahead and go with 2. Again, that's going to go ahead and populate 2 different fields there, difficulty level 1 and difficulty level 2. So I'm going to go, say I have 500 feet of fence line at difficulty level 1, and then let's say I've got a balcony up top that's going to have some garland on it or something like that. I'm going to put that at difficulty level, I'm sorry, 200. I'm going to go 50 feet at difficulty level 2. So we've got 550 feet total, break even of $31.88. I'm going to go ahead and select my markup. I'm going to keep that. I'm going to go 150% on it. And that gives me a labor charge of $79.70. Type of lights, we've got, I'm going to go ahead and go with the 25-foot mini incandescent strand, 6-inch spacing. So I am going to have to do a little math on my own here. I've got 550 feet divided by 25 feet, so 550 divided by 25. That's going to give me 22 strands. So that's how you want to do it with this. And if it was, let's say 560 feet, then obviously you would still need an additional strand. Even though you'd have excess lights, you would go with 23 strands. That gives us a light charge of $107.69, gives us a total of $187.39. Now something that I noticed as I'm going through this, and this form we basically just completed about a week ago. So we still are going through it, making improvements, working on any kind of bugs. So this doesn't really allow you to select garland, and it doesn't allow you to split it up here. So this will be basically for balconies and fence lines with lights. And then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and add a section that's going to be garland section, and you'll be able to choose that. So by the time you get back from the training, probably Thursday or Friday, we'll already have that added. Matt will probably add that while you guys are out here. So I'm going to go ahead and click next. Okay, columns and palm trees. Pretty much identical formula for columns or palm trees. The only difference would be that at the very end, if you are going to do the fronds of palm trees, then in that additional charge area, you'd have to charge some more money. But otherwise, they're going to be exactly the same charge as far as the decorating of columns, pillars, and palms. So let's go ahead with this. The way we break it down is select how many different tree heights that you have. So I'm going to say that I have 2 different tree heights. And with that, you want to average it out. As long as the trees are within a few feet of each other, then you're going to be fine. So quantity of trees at height 1, I'm going to say that I have a cluster of 6 palm trees or columns, even though that's a little confusing there. Matt will probably add trees / columns at height 1. So I've got 6 there. Are they over 20 feet? No, they're not. Height of the columns of trees in feet, I'm going to say that they are 18 feet approximately. Spacing in inches, so the spacing in inches is obviously the distance vertically that we're going to have the amount of spacing in between it there. I'm going to go ahead and go with 12-inch spacing. Circumference in inches, I'm going to go ahead and go with the circumference of the tree, so meaning the roundness of the tree. I'm going to say that that's 24 inches. And that's going to go ahead and calculate. And the reason that this moves a little bit slow is because they're behind the scenes on this. There's a lot of calculations going on. So this is probably the slowest moving formula that you're going to deal with. And a lot of you guys won't even be doing too many palm trees or columns. Okay, so now I've got my quantity of trees at height 2. I'm going to go ahead and say I have another cluster of palms. It's 3 palm trees. I'm going to say that these, yes, they are over 20 feet. So what this is going to do, guys, is it's always more difficult at above 20 feet with working with palm trees and columns. So it's going to add an additional percentage in there into your total minutes and your formula for your break even. So let's say that these guys are 25 feet tall. And let's say that I want to go a little tighter on the spacing on these. So I'm going to go with 6-inch spacing. And let's say the circumference on these are also fatter palm trees. So circumference, let's say that these guys are 36. Okay, so that's equating there. So now I have 832.5 total feet of lights that I'm going to use. I'm going to scroll down here. My break even is $391.28. I'm going to select my markup, 150%. And by the way, I'm just sticking to 150%. You can change it up however you want. You can have different markups for different products. Although I think the best way to do it is probably stick to the same markup for everything and then go back. And if you want to reduce it at all, go back and do that. That way you know that you're keeping everything standardized. So unless you have a real reason to do different things at different margins, maybe wreaths is the only thing that you might change that on, because wreaths can be very easy to hang and a good add-on. But I would pretty much throughout the form stick with the same markup. And like I said, you can always go back and you can change your markup on it if the customer's kind of balking at your price. Okay, so that gives us a labor charge of $978.20 for our palm trees or our columns. Okay, so our lights, I'm going to select the type of lights. I'm going to go ahead and go with, on this one, let's say we're going with 25-foot mini LEDs, 6-inch spacing. And I'm going to go ahead and use my calculator here. I got 832.5 feet, 832.5 divided by 25-foot strand. So I've got 33.3 strands, so I'm going to go 34 strands here. That gives me a light charge of $467.50 and my total of $1445 point. I'm not sure, but like I said, Matt's going to fix that, and that's a quick fix. We'll fix that right away. Okay, we're almost at 15 minutes, so I'm going to go ahead and pause, and then we'll start right here with the bushes, hedges, and flower beds on the next video.